All right, guys, so now we're gonna run over the inventory on how to change a tire and what things you need first before you take that action. So this is already laid out for you. I've already pulled it out from the passenger seat back pocket, and I've laid it out so you can get a good idea of the inventory. Number one, you're gonna wanna make sure you have all the components to the jacking system. You'll have 2 long rods, you'll have 1 shorter one, and then you'll have this candy cane looking rod right here. Now this one is used for the jack itself. You're gonna hook it in and you'll spin it in a clockwise rotation and it will lift the jack up. We're gonna talk about the mounting points on the F-150, on where the safe places are to mount, the design places to mount the jack when lifting the vehicle so that you're safe when doing so. I've gone ahead, like I said, it's already took all this out for you to inventory, but this here is a filler neck. On this vehicle, you don't have a cap to fill the gas tank up. So in the event that you have a gas can, you run out of gas, you're gonna wanna stick this in the filler neck slot of your fuel tank, and then you will use your gas can to fill up. If you don't do that, it's gonna splash everywhere. You'll never get fuel in it. This is also located with this jack system in that seat back pocket of the passenger side of the rear bench here. And then in addition to all these items that I've already mentioned, you'll have a lug nut wrench, and the lug nut wrench has a keyed out socket for these brackets here. And that's what's gonna help us to not only lift the jack, to lift this heavy vehicle, but it's also gonna help us to remove the spare tire, and we'll get to that in just a second. Now, before we actually ever remove any tires that may be flat, we first wanna make sure that you have a key. It doesn't make sense if you go ahead and lift the vehicle up and you're trying to crack the lug nuts loose and you find out, oh, I've already done everything and I don't have a key. Well, you're gonna wanna make sure that, number one, if your vehicle does have a key on the lug nuts, and we'll show you right here, if you've got a key on your vehicle, you wanna make sure you have this. If you don't, then no worries, you can leave this part out. But this simply just comes on, locks into the lock key for the wheel locks, and then you can put your locking lug wrench on there and then pop that guy off, and then the rest will just be through the lug wrench itself. So now that we've gone through and inventoried everything here in the back, I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate how we remove the spare tire first. Then I'll start moving into where the jack location is on the vehicle to keep you and your family safe. All right, so for this segment, we're gonna need the key. And on this key, there's this little tiny black ribbed section. It's actually, you can push that in and pull this key out. This is the same key that you will utilize to lock your center console, the same key you will utilize to lock your glove box, and also your lockable partition if you should have one in the back seat of your vehicle. But this key here is gonna open this port right here. Right here on the back, that's how we're gonna access to the spare tire. We're gonna use the key, I'm gonna put it in, give it a turn, and pull the plug out. It's gonna look a lot like this. Now don't lose your key. Don't drop this and lose it. That'd be a bad day, wouldn't it? So let's go ahead and just keep these two together. I'm gonna keep the key with it. And then on this section right here, you got these 3 bars. Now it doesn't really matter in this particular situation which order you put them in, but you'll have this little locking tab, right? And you're gonna line it up with this hole here. You're gonna push them together until you get a lock. And so what we're gonna do here now is we are going to run this end, the big end, into this hole until you latch, and you can feel yourself secured there, latched to the spare tire. And then what we're gonna do now is we're going to turn it counterclockwise and slowly lower the rear tire, and it's a cable assembly is gonna allow it to come down nice and slow. If you can see that action going on right now, tire's slowly coming down to the ground. And it'll just continue on coming down until we get it all the way out. I'm not gonna go through the full process on that, but you can see as it's coming down, it's gonna hit the ground. It'll allow you to disconnect that tire from the cable. And then what we can do is position the jack to where we can take off the rear tire or the front tire, and we can move forward on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back up, and I'll jump you to the front, show you where the jack point is on the front of the chassis. I'll show you where the jack point is on the rear of the chassis and just how to put that together. Now that you have your Ford jack in hand, you'll notice the safety features here listed on the jack itself. You've got it telling you need to put it in park and also apply the e-brake. That's super important to make sure that when you're jacking up the vehicle, it doesn't actually roll or move on you. And then it also tells you to source the manual as to where the jack positioning needs to be on the frame of the vehicle for your particular application. Now this one has tangs built into the jack. These are designed to grab the frame of the vehicle. You've got a section up here in the front, and I'll show you just in a moment. There is actually a cutout arrow within the frame on the Ford vehicle. So it's not a sticker, it's not a mark, it's not gonna wash away, it's permanently there. And then on the rear of the vehicle, it's perfectly designed for your leaf spring shackle. So in between the 4 bolts right there, you'll see this nice little grooved area fits perfectly up in there. And that's really where it's supposed to be at. So let me go ahead and show you where this one goes in the front. Under the front here on the frame, as I mentioned prior, there is an arrow there. That's where we're gonna jack this vehicle up. And again, for your particular vehicle, always source the manual so you got correct information on where to jack up your vehicle. Now, let's give a situation where this tire has blown out on the front of this vehicle. Because it's an F-150, it comes with a full-size spare. So we can have no problem replacing this, removing this wheel and tire and putting the spare on there. It's a full size. But if you're in a vehicle that has a mini spare, you're not gonna wanna replace it with the front tire. If you blew out this front tire and you've got a mini spare, you wanna put it on the front, it's a no-go. That's the wrong answer. It's unsafe to do so. You got engine weight up here and you've got a ton of weight pushing on that single small tire while making turns. So the right answer is remove the blown out tire and then take your rear tire off the vehicle, a full size from your smaller vehicle, put it up here on the drive axle, and then go ahead and put that mini spare on the rear. That's really gonna keep you and your family safe and others on the road.